Allie with PotomacBeads.com and PotomacBeads.eu, and I'm going to be making a bracelet for you today featuring our new EVA beads. We're going to be working with 2 needles and some extra beads along the side, going through and adding our clasp right away. If you want the exact colors that are used in the video, watch to the end of the video. I'll give counts that you need and the color variety as well. So to begin our EVA eyes, we have 2 needles, and these are size 10 needles on a 4-foot piece of beading thread. Because I am working with 2 needles, I'm going to begin by adding my clasp first, which is my cup button in that red color. I have an 11-0 in the Duracoat silver, 11-0 in the opaque red, and 11-0 in the silver. Taking both needles, I'm going to go through the cup button from the front of the button in the bowl side, coming out to the back of the button. From here, keeping your needles separated, I want you to add 2 of your 11-0s in silver on both the right and the left needle. Most of the time when you are doing something that has a 2 needle version, you are mirroring whatever you do on the right is the same thing that you do on the left. From here, I want to take an 11-0 seed bead in the red color, and I'm going to go through that red seed bead with both needles going in the same direction. That's going to create a little V at the back of the button, and then we're going to spread it out to begin our design. To spread it out to begin the design, from now on, the needles are always going to stay separated, one on the left and one on the right. Whatever I do on the left-hand side, I'm also going to do on the right-hand side. So to begin the design, I'm starting with the exterior of the EVA bead, and when I go through the EVA bead, I'm going to go through the right and the left side. To add them and to go through with them, the first thing I'm going to do are add 3 of your 11-0s in the red color with both the right and the left needle, and then I want you to pick up your first of your EVA beads. We're going to pick it up so both needles are coming out through the wider side of the EVA, or the open side, one needle going to the right and one needle going to the left. Here's a good opportunity also to make sure that your thread ends match and that you are in the middle of the thread. Coming out of that first EVA bead then, we're going to add an 11-0, our mini silky bead, and then an 11-0 with both needles. Inside of the EVA bead, we're going to be using the silver seed beads next to the red silkies. When we progress to the disco beads, the 6mm, we're going to use the red on the side of those beads. So to add our first silky, you're going to pick up a silver with the left and a silver with the right. Then we're going to pick up our first mini silky bead. When I pick up the mini silky, you're going to notice that there's a little bump on the silky bead. That's going to sit vertical rather than horizontal because the beads you're following, just like the EVA beads, they're going straight up through the top. You will also want to make sure after this first one that all of those silkies are sitting the same direction, with the flat side on the back and the bumped side towards the front. After you add those, I want you to put on an 11-0 in the silver color with both needles. And then we're going to switch the direction that we add the next EVA bead, so that way we're starting in the middle and going towards the V at the top. When you push it down, you can see that middle little silky creates that eye in the middle of the EVA beads. And we're going to continue on then with our side beads. Again, very simple pattern, very easy to do, and very easy to change up the materials that you're using. As I get to the outside of the eye, I'm switching to my 11-0s in the red color, one on the left, one on the right, then one of my 6mm disco ball crystals, and these are new, and we're going to put an 11-0 seed bead after each of those. Let that drop down next to the design, and that's going to separate our eyes from one another. Now I'm going and creating my eye again. So to create the eye again, I'm going through the next EVA bead, adding one, coming out through the center. Once I'm in the center then, I'm going to add my silky with my 11-0 seed bead on either side, making sure that as I add the silky bead that the flat side is facing down and the rounded side is facing towards the top. Once you have on the 11 O's on each needle, then you put on the silky and 11 O after each silky, and then you're going to grab your next of your EVA beads and go through the opening or the wide portion first, coming out through the V side. And there you have your next of your eye. Now you can see Anna used a 5mm melon on hers. I switched to the 6mm because I wanted to use these new crystals and kind of have this bling. It's also a little bit out of characteristic colors for me, so I really wanted to go outside the box using that black and red, which I know a lot of you love and suggest that I use a lot, so doing that for you. Continuing on then, I'm going to add the disco balls here, and you're going to end up with about 18 or 20 of the actual EVA beads being used. So you're going to be looking at about 9 to 10 of the eyes. For my wrist, I ended up using 8 of the actual eyes, or 16 total of my EVA beads, and then 8 of my mini silky beads. Anna's were a little bit closer together versus the 5 versus the 6mm. So again, 9 or 10. So you're looking at a total usually of between 8 and 10 of your silky beads or your completed eye. From here, I want to create a loop for my button to sit into, and I'm going to mimic the start of the bracelet where I have 3 of my red beads on the right needle and then 3 on the left needle as well. From there, I'm going to create a V by going through one of my 11 O's with both needles going in the same direction through the bead. Both needles going and coming out the top of that bead. That creates that V that sits nicely and kind of finishes off the bracelet. If you want to and you want to get a little bit more bling, you could also put one of your crystals there at the end to bring the crystal design into the end. From here, I'm going to use my silver, and those are the Duracoat Galvanized Silver. Those are the Miyuki brand, whereas the the red beads are the Opaque Cherry Red, and those are the Toho bead. So I'm going to switch to my silver to go with my red at the end, and I'm going to add about 22 of my silver beads. This is a great opportunity to kind of clean up your bead mat if you have a couple extra beads on. And adding those all then, I'm going to let them drop down to my kind of stop bead or that red bead that's combined. Keep in mind, I only have one strand or one needle in my hand that I'm currently working with. I'm going to use the other one to reinforce this loop that I've created to go through the cup button. From here, take your needle and thread back through that red bead and down the side of 3 of the red beads towards the bracelet. Picking up the needle on the other side then, I want you to mimic and go through all of these beads, reinforcing that loop. So you're going to take the needle the whole way back through. Just like the opposite side then too, as you complete, you want to come down so your needle is out the 3 beads on the opposite side. One needle coming out to the left and one needle coming out on the right. From here, it's a simple ending to end the EVA Eye Bracelet. We're going to go back through one of the EVAs, go back through an 11/0 seed bead, and through the silky bead. Again, on this side here, same thing. Going to go back through the EVA, come out there. I'm going to go back through an 11/0 and come out on this silky. When I come out there beside the 11/0 and the silky, pick up the first needle, hop over the silky from the first side here to the second side. It's going to expose a tiny bit of thread on the outside of that silky bead, but then what we're going to do is tie the knot closer up here so that way it is masked and you do not see it. So I'm going back through that silky with the opposite needle coming the opposite way. So again, a little bit of thread there, pull that tight so you don't see the thread, and then take those 2 thread ends and tie them together. If you want to, you can also weave them further back into the project. I know a lot of you don't like to glue and don't like to knot. You can weave them further back and then you will kind of conceal that knot again. I have 3 knots that I'm doing, 3 square knots where I do right over left and then left over right. After I have those knots, I'm going to bring the strands to the back of the project. And I know there's a back because the silkies have the top and the bottom of the bead. Take a thread zap or a thread burner, burn those threads off, and then take the thread zap and burn them down closer to the project. This EVA Eye Bracelet is a nice, simple design, kind of using the EVAs in one of their most simplistic forms, facing one another and facing away from one another as well. So thank you to Anna for having fun during some of our playtime and making this bracelet design. Again, if you need any of the materials, you can go below the video to the little link that has links so you can purchase them from us online at PotomacBeads.com and PotomacBeads.eu. It's a fun introduction to the new EVA bead, as well as some of our new rounded crystal disco balls also. So if you get your hands on either melons or the disco balls and your EVA beads, as well as your mini silkies, you can have fun creating this EVA Eye Bracelet. Also, a thank you to those of you that are members of our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making for helping with name suggestions for the bracelet. If you're not a member on that, check that out as well and join us there. Remember, you can always give us a little thumbs up on the video and let us know exactly what you want to make, what you want to see, and the techniques that you want to learn. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel to get regular updates on new beads, new products, and what's going on in the beading world. As well as, like I said, check us out on Facebook. And also keep in mind, you can check out more projects, more designs, more color options at PotomacBeads.com. Thanks so much for watching and have fun creating the EVA Eye Bracelet.